Ladies and gentlemen, members and friends, Matt Bailey here, your branch director for the SMWS, and it's our Maverick year. And this is not a big bottle in front of me. This is a little bottle, but this is something a little bit special for our Maverick year, celebrating some of the weird and experimental things we've done at the Society. Now, members who have been members for, say, I'm going to say 17 years or longer, which is not too many, but if you hark back a bit, you'll find that we once did release a whiskey at the Society called Hotscotch. Now, it was an experiment at the time that was widely described to be great as a sauce, not great in the glass. And it was, and even on the side of the bottle of Hotscotch, I think it said not recommended for drinking, which is kind of funny. It was just an experiment at the time. Now, if you fast forward to 2023, we've sort of done another experiment which is in a similar vein. We're calling this experiment number 1 because it's part of maybe some experimental range we've been, I guess, trialing. And it's called Cask Experiment Spirit Drink. Let's just examine that for a second. It's a cask experiment. This is not Scotch whiskey by definition, even though it has been used as a product in this experiment, but it cannot, for legal reasons, be called Scotch whiskey. It is therefore a spirit drink, which sounds very unappealing. But it says on the front here, a cask experiment combining whiskey and chili, 27 years in the making. We did it for the thrill of it. We did it for the thrill of it. This is just about having a bit of fun and finding what flavour does. So we had this 10-year-old cask of Scotch whiskey, which was then, actually, you know what? I'm just going to say whiskey. We had a 10-year-old cask of whiskey from a code that is established at the Society. And 17 years ago, our spirits director now, Kai, filled that cask with hot Scotch chillis, as in hot bonnet Scotch chillis, and then refilled it back up with this spirit. So it was a 10-year-old whiskey that's then had an additional maturation of 17 years. So it's technically 27 years in the making, and I'm going to try this for the first time. It's only a little 100ml bottle, but it's enough for us to have a smell and a taste. I'm just going to pour a little bit out of that because I want to stretch this one out a little bit further. So this is experiment number 1 from the SMWS. This is available in September Outturn. It's just a fun experiment. It's a 27-year-old whiskey that's had a bit of experimentation. Let's have a smell. It's actually quite pleasurable on the nose. Like you can tell there's some chili spice in there, like that really sort of like proper prominent red chili note. But there's a coastal note to it as well. There's this lovely sort of salinity to it almost. I'm actually quite in awe of the nose on this. I've never ever smelled anything like that. You know, like it's one of those flavors that I didn't know existed. And I think that's kind of the fun of these kind of things. You get to try flavors and whiskeys and experiments that you otherwise wouldn't have had the chance to do. It's got this like red frogs a little bit going on there, a little bit. Like spiced apple, like a baked spiced apple sort of thing, like red apple pie with cinnamon on top, like a red apple cinnamon pie thing. But the chili note is very obvious. It's a very red Scotch bonnet chilies are hot. So this is a hot chili nose, and these chilies were maturing in the cask, in the spirit, for 17 years of additional maturation. Just name any other whiskey brand or company or club on earth that would ever release a 27-year-old chili-infused whiskey. I mean, I've seen, you can see things like apple whiskies and cinnamon whiskies and things on the market, which are mostly, let's be honest, most of them are occupied by 2- and 3-year-old Canadian spirit or whatever. This is a 27-year-old whiskey, 27 years in the making, but with that lovely subtle note. I've been told as well this is much more drinkable than the first experiment that we did 20 years ago in this sort of realm. So I'm interested to see how it tastes as well as noses. You could pour this over, I would pour this whiskey over chicken wings. I'd pour this whiskey over like buffalo wings. Like it's just that kind of whiskey. It's the kind of whiskey you can pour over beef ribs. It's just this is a Sunday barbecue, let's experiment kind of thing. And it's cask strength. It's 55.6% natural cask strength. Now, to make sure there were enough of these going around for members around the world, they were bottled in 100ml bottles. Not usual for us. We bottle everything 700ml, as you know. But a 100ml bottle means it keeps the price nice and approachable, but it also means we've got enough of them around the world from this one cask experiment. When you have 40,000 plus members around the world, you've got to find sometimes ways to share this experiment around the world. And quite honestly, even off the nose alone, I think I'd struggle with a 700ml bottle of this, only because it's so weird and you wouldn't go back to it too often unless you really had like a huge love of chili. Let's have a taste. Oh wow, that is hot. And I don't mean hot spirit, I mean chili hot. I was not expecting it to be that chillied. Actually, I don't know what I was expecting, but wow. Like green peppers, red chilies, it's a paprika note. That's fantastic. It's coastal, the finish on that is just going and going. This, I'm on one part, I'm quite torn. On one part, I think to myself, as a Scotch purist sometimes, and I can be, I'm aware of that. A whiskey purist, I should say, an appreciator and taster of it. Part of me goes, that shouldn't exist, and the other part of me just goes, I want two of those. But unfortunately, it is limit one per member. We want to make sure this goes around and is shared around and opened up, because this is a cool little historical moment for us at the Society, and a real collectible, but also something I hope you get the chance to open and pour over some ribs on a Sunday. Because, that is so weird. Okay, I'm gonna take another half hour or so to enjoy and taste this, because that's madness, true madness in a glass. Anyway. Have a good September Outturn. We'll see you at all the gathering events coming up, both online and in person around the country. Outturn should have most of them in it. If they don't, just check the events page on our website. There's always something happening. And of course, keep your eyes out for Malt of the Month, 36.189, Andalusian Breakfast, delicious sherried whiskey, and of course, our Alex Moore's 94.43 cask, and all the other goodies in September Outturn to share around with members. It's such a diverse and colourful and fantastic Outturn, and that's what the gathering's about. I hope you get to gather with us. Slanjava, cheers, and I'll see you soon. Wish me luck.